So a few days ago, I said that I was looking forward to Premier League football resuming. I said that I was aware it was probably only going to be sort of 70% of what we were used to, but nonetheless, that's better than nothing, and I was looking forward to it. It turns out it's not better than nothing, and actually, you're not comparing it with nothing because you're doing something else, right? You're watching a film, or you're just doing something. You're playing a game. You're doing something, and I don't think it was better than that. Plainly and simply. I do think it will get better. I really do. And I think when you're watching your own team, it's absolutely fine. You've got a vested interest. You care. You've got years of an emotional investment in there. So when West Ham play, it's going to be very, very different. I even think it'll be different when Manchester United play Tottenham, because I'll look at it and I know who Marcus Rashford is. I know who Harry Kane is. I will recognise them on the football pitch. In all honesty, I didn't have a Scooby Doo, apart from Jack Grealish and Tyrone Mings. I didn't really have a Scooby Doo who was who against Aston Villa and Sheffield United with no identifiable mark, so to speak. It was nigh on impossible. So I found the pace slow. I think it was a boring game. That didn't help. I think if that first game had been 4-4, let's say what games are, but if it had been something like that, I would have enjoyed it more, and I think it would have made a better job of selling it to me. I do think it will improve, because one thing I did see, I didn't watch a lot of it in the end. I did get bored. I did switch off. I then decided I thought I'll come back. I'll have a look at the Man City and Arsenal game. In all honesty, I know it finished with a high scoreline, but I probably watched the first 15 odd minutes of that. That bored me as well. So I switched that off as well. I thought fitness was noticeable in all of them. So I do think as the teams get fitter, the product, and it is a product of the Premier League, that's why it's back on track, because, well, it's there for money. It's a product, basically. I think the product will get better. So they're dipping their toe in the water here, trying to test it out, trying to find out what works and what doesn't. And I did find a lot of it wasn't working. I know some people had the ability to filter crowd noise in. In the end, I switched over to NBC, who had a bit of crowd noise in, and it definitely helped. It really did. But it was not... in all honesty, it's not something that's going to get me coming back game after game to watch numerous games. Clearly, we'll be watching and covering all the West Ham games, and I am looking forward to them. There's just something. I think I'll look at it, and I'm interested in every twist and turn that Jared Bowen makes. You know, I'm interested to see Sebastian Haller running behind the back line or whatever, coming deep to shield the ball, or whatever the case may be. I'm interested in the small detail in what goes on at West Ham in ways that I just ain't with other teams. Quite frankly, there was just better things to do, and I ended up doing them. So I'm not gonna be so crass as to rate the Premier League comeback. They've tried their best. I think there's quite a long way to go. That's all I've got to say about it, really, for the moment. Myself and G are doing a mug of tea on Friday, and we're going to do that after the Man United Tottenham game. I hope I enjoy that a bit more. If I had to put one word that sums everything up, and I mean the football, the lack of the crowd, everything, I think the whole product lacked intensity. It lacked drama and intensity to draw me in. I even found the ball thing, whether the ball was over the line, I found that boring, in all honesty. Because it hadn't dragged me in, because I didn't feel so invested in it, because it wasn't so intense, I didn't feel the outrage. I guess it's not my team. I feel the outrage if it was my team, right? I know West Ham could be affected by that goal not being given, but I don't know. I didn't feel part of it. I didn't feel angry. It was just something that was on that probably wasn't quite as good as a lot of the other stuff that was on some of the other channels. Anyway, that was my take on it. Maybe you think differently, and we'll soon find out. As I say, I think Friday will be a little bit better. I think West Ham will be a lot better. And I think in 3 or 4 games' time, when everyone is fit, which clearly they weren't, it'll be all right. It'll be all right. I think. What can you say? Can't do much more than all right, can you? A couple of things today. Number one was Ryan Fraser. Okay. Ryan Fraser has run his contract down at Bournemouth, as we know. Initially, before all the madness started and football got suspended, it looked very much like Liverpool were going to take him on a free transfer. Now, I say something's happened with Liverpool. What you'll probably find is because Liverpool don't have an owner who's like Abramovich or Sheikh Mansour is basically pulling oil money out of the ground, and money's not an object, because Liverpool's owners are an investment corporation, the Fenway Group basically, they're probably not willing just to chuck hundreds of millions that the club don't generate into buying players. So we've seen that they couldn't really afford Timo Werner in the end, which was a player they definitely wanted. And I think they're now looking at it thinking, well, Ryan Fraser, 120 grand a week. A little bit rich. They're probably going to keep their powder dry on that one, which I think is really interesting. So it turned out that Tottenham were then interested. And even Tottenham now apparently looking at it thinking 100 grand a week. And I read the article and it was Jose Mourinho's weighing up his options. As well they should, and as well he should, because everybody is going to have to be a little bit more frugal at the moment. Because money, as I say, unless you're the richest club, you haven't got any money. I mean, look at Tottenham, for instance. Tottenham furloughed their lowest paid staff. All right, there was an uproar and then they went back on it. But I think they borrowed between 100 million, 200. They borrowed a lot of money off the government anyway. They basically got a government loan because they're committed to payments on a 1 billion stadium. Tottenham are skint, basically. So you can understand how Tottenham, number one, how the transfer would appeal to Tottenham because it's a free transfer. But number two, you can also understand how Tottenham possibly don't want to commit themselves to 100 grand a week plus on a 5-year deal for somebody. In terms of Ryan Fraser himself, he had a very, very good season. Last season, he was very good. He was on the top assist getters in the league. Everybody had him in their fantasy league team, right? A good player. Sort of, you get the impression, two things. Number one, you get the impression he's almost down tools a little bit this season. Number two, because he'd done that, King came in, and King had been playing up front with Callum Wilson, but they moved King to the left wing, which is where Fraser would normally play. So this season he's just not been as productive. He hasn't had as much game time. Anyway, West Ham been linked with him, and I find it an odd one. I really do. I think it's no from me, definitely no. And I think because of the money, I think the money's a big one. The money's a massive commitment. I think also the fact that he's been prepared to run down his contract, down tools, that sort of thing. Because Ryan Fraser's done what Ngaki has done, in as much as he hasn't even got basically the good grace to turn around at Bournemouth and say, do you know what, I'll play your last, however many are left after his contract runs out. I'll play your last 5 games, 6 games, out of loyalty to help you get away from relegation. He can't even do that. He just said, no, I'm not playing at all. Not a mindset I'd like to bring into the club, in all honesty. I also think in left wing we have Felipe Anderson there. If Felipe Anderson doesn't work out, we got Diangana to play there. If Diangana doesn't work out, we've got Nathan Holland to play. We've got 3 left wingers. Don't forget, also we've got Mikel Antonio there, who can, in fact, Nottingham Forest, he basically played at left wing. At Reading, he played on the left wing. We do not need to burden ourselves to the tune of what would probably be something like 20, 30 million quid in terms of wages or whatever it might be. We don't need to do that just to bring in another left winger. It is a position that I think we're actually quite strong in. So it's a no from me on that one. Just finally, I did find something that tickled me a little bit. It's the least newsworthy story at all, but it did make me laugh. It says, Bubbles to return to London Stadium. West Ham have been given permission to play their Bubbles theme song and use a Bubbles machine at the London Stadium this Saturday. Well, who would have stopped us playing the theme song anyway? Because one thing they're going to try and do, apparently, is when they make substitutions. I don't know if this happened yesterday, by the way. I didn't get that far into the game. They were going to stop playing music when subs came on and off. Oh, that's a no-no from my... Anyway. So they've had permission to play the Bubbles music. The Premier League protocols mean all top 5 clubs must be treated the same and have the same opportunities as a level playing field. That means other clubs could also use bubble machines if they wished. Seriously, I've not made this up. Other clubs could use bubble machines if they wish. Oh, I know what we'll do. We'll use a bubble machine. Why? Why? We're called the Magpies. Why would we use a bubble machine? I don't know. I don't know. Release magpies then. It says bubble machines will need to be operated remotely with very limited personnel allowed in the red zone during matches. Oh no! Shock, horror. Not a remote controlled bubble machine. It's all over. Because quite frankly, if the geezer ain't there, winding it up, I ain't interested. West Ham will display a large fan mosaic in a Billy Bond stand in the shape of a popular West Ham image. What's a popular West Ham image? It's gonna be Hammers. It's funny. I just found it. I found this really fun. I do love how things are worded. The club is yet to announce how they will choose 16 supporters for their live Zoom fan wall on the big screens. The Hammers will not be deploying cardboard cutouts to the lower stands like Brighton, who offered cutouts at £20 a time. Okay, so the club is yet to announce how they will choose 16 supporters for their live Zoom fan wall. All I would say is, I noticed this morning that Dan from West Ham Fan TV had done a screenshot of the Man City game, and I don't know, one of their players got injured, seriously injured, I think, stretcher, not good at all, right? And right behind him, when he was lying on the floor, there's a bit of the fan wall, like the Zoom wall. And basically there's a fan there. Is he celebrating or he's doing that? Or I don't know, he's doing something which is quite inappropriate considering the person just below his image is in distress and in need of medical attention. And it's something that Dan said on there. He said, can you imagine if West Ham go 3 or 4-0 down and people start laughing? And I've got to be honest with you here. I know maybe many people watch this. Laugh? How can you laugh? Your team are down. Your team are being thrashed and you're laughing. I've done it. I have done it, okay? And my biggest one was the Burnley game with the protests. And I think it's just been such a massive build-up of misery for West Ham. And then we got to the Burnley game, and I mean, the ownership wasn't going well, the team wasn't playing well, everything was bad, really, really, really bad. And then Burnley rock up and just start thrashing us, start playing us off the park. And just when you think it couldn't get any worse, because obviously there'd been all the build-up, there'd been a march planned, and then the rug was pulled out from underneath the people that wanted to march, so there was no march, and people had travelled up and spent hundreds of pounds, and then banners printed up and all the rest of it. It was a funny old, atmosphere at the time. And then one of the fans ran on the pitch, and he was sort of dodging. He was trying to. I did a vlog at the time, and he was running around, and he was trying to get out of the way of the stewards. He was jumping over the barriers, and it was so preposterous. I laughed at the ridiculous nature of what a circus my football club had become. And I did laugh, because sometimes if you don't cry, you laugh. If you don't laugh, you cry. I don't know. The other one, you know what I mean? And I just thought of when he said that, of this image of Adama Traore putting a 4th past West Ham. And there's all these, how many did they say would be there? How many in the Zoom wall? Did they not say? They didn't say. But let's say 20 fans in the Zoom wall. And sort of, I don't know, 17 of them doing this. Or just all the different stages of fan despair. And just a few laughing at how ridiculous it is that they've waited months for football. And then this is what they get served up. It may not, look, it's fine. I just think it's so gimmicky. It's a gimmick. Cardboard cutouts, gimmick. Zoom walls, gimmick. Music at half time, gimmick. It's terrible. Didn't mind the crowd noise pumped through though. They've got to figure out what's working and what's not working. Anyway, only, how many sleeps? 2. It's Thursday, isn't it? Thursday night sleep. Friday night sleep, and then we're there. It's our preview tonight, the Wolves preview, which I think feels like our first video back to normality. So anyway, I better do my research. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you tonight. I'm off to find out who plays for Wolves and what colour their kit is.
Open wide like you invited to stay. Front door. Lock behind so next in line can't play. Front door. Got the lock, switch your keys out of date. No welcome mat, stop, turn back, walk away. Front door. Close the side, get changed up, who's the can pay? Front door. A jar of air, I spent that jam Master J. Front door.